What is up, guys? We're here back at Paper Heroes Games, doing another new deck profile.
Some memes.
It's a meme deck.
Some memes deck.
A
But at the
memes
same
deck.
time, this thing is scary. So, first thing, I want to give a huge shout out to Austin Countryman and Countryman Racing. He's the one that you guys typically see who does the branded cyber stuff or the cyber dragon stuff. So like, cyber dragon's kind of his core that he's like sticking with and tries to squeeze into every deck. For me, it's kind of the flip of it. So the backstory is I have a niece. She's 4 years old. As soon as I told her like princesses and castles and stuff like that exist in this game, she's like, I want a deck. So everyone here can attest. Like I constantly show up with this stuff, and I play the Princess and the Stromberg and stuff like that. So this deck is kashtira Stromberg, and it is fun. It's fun, it's versatile, and it's super savage when you actually get off the full combo. So starting off the deck profile, we're gonna go with, do this upside down. It's 3 Unicorn, standard, 3 Fenrir. I do only 2 Rise Hearts, so it still works out pretty well. I was running Rhoda in order to search it, but at the same time, like the grind game, you shouldn't be getting to this point in the game. Like,
Right,
things
right.
are very bad if you still need to get to the third one.
Yeah.
So I have 1 and 1. So this is the standard kashtira lineup.
I actually like it at 2 too.
Yeah,
on my build, I
I
play
might
it
go
2.
for a third, but at the same time, it's like I kind of understand it. Then for the hand traps, I have 2 ogres. That's it. And the reason I have 2 ogres is because of the e-tellies, and the e-tellies make it so I can just like go off into some type of synchro in the extra deck. So I like the 2 ogres, and it also makes it so when you're reversing something in the mirror match and they go like unicorn, grab a spell, you let that one go through, and when they go for the theosis, you let the Fenrir go through as well. And when they go for the Fenrir search, that's when you try and hit it with an ogre, because the Fenrir search makes it so that they can't go off into like the full line. They can just basically choose 1 Exceeds that they want to go into.
Yep.
So I really like the ghost ogres. I do wish Ash was a psychic tuner as well, so that we can pull it off e-telly, but ultimately like this is actually what works. And then I'm gonna go kind of backwards on this one. So instead I'm gonna keep like the engines separate, and instead I'm just gonna go straight into the traps. It's just 1 trap, just 1 big bang.
The big bang.
Very standard. And then for the spells, pretty standard. 3 planet, 3 theosis. I do 3 birth. I realized that this is like, I was running 2 for a minute, and because it's just a brick, especially if you like get these 2 together, it's just useless. But the thing is, the reality is, and I had it happen in one of the games, when you top deck a birth, it's insane. Like I was literally down to no cards. I top deck a birth, and it just instantly got me back into the game because it just brings back the unicorn. Unicorn grabs another theosis, and it just goes through the same.
Yeah, you just go to the same combo again.
So it's like this took me a second to come around to. It's like it is kind of a brick, but at the same time, it's like one of the best top decks that you can run inside the deck.
Right.
So pretty standard. Then triple pot of P.
You have to have it.
Yeah, a lot of people run 2. For me, it's because I'm trying to pull off a combo that I need this to dig for the last piece of the shenanigans. So this thing is pretty versatile in terms of like one of the
Do
last
you always
pieces.
want to see it like opening hand?
Yeah, I always want to see something, because if I can get to the combo, it's wonderful. But if I can't, like this usually lets me dig for the last piece of it, and there's usually just like 1 piece that's missing within the thing, and within 6 cards you can usually find it.
Right.
1 terraforming. This grabs you the planet, and then you'll see why.
Yeah.
The other stuff. Triple e-telly. So triple e-telly, 2 ogres. This just allows you to just like spam stuff out. And then I got the 1 tactics.
1 deck.
Yep.
Okay. 1 triple.
Yep, just 1 triple. That one is just kind of floating in the deck. And then for the last part of it, the last engine, as people know, that I run, the Glyph, the Princess, the Carriage, double Stromberg. So this is actually hilarious and dirty because the Glyph itself helps when it comes to dealing with stuff like anti-spell fragrance. So I've definitely had where this just gets normaled itself. So I literally have had like circumstances where it wasn't anti-spell, it was one of the Scareclaw field spells, and I was like, all right, just like normal.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna pop it. Like,
Yeah.
Like let's just not get too fancy on this one. But this works pretty well, and it works well with the Princess too. So I like the Princess because the Princess is just another body, and you'll understand once I get into the extra deck. But the Princess pulls out the carriage, and the carriage protects the castle. I had multiple games, and I always stay clearly to the person too. Like ever since my buddy said like this word, using the word mirror force makes people remember that. So it's like if you go into battle, like this will mirror force your monster, and then you take half its attack. So a lot of people forget that, and then when you end up being like, dude, I like said clearly, it's gonna mirror force, like it's gonna mirror force your shit, like don't go into battle.
Right.
So
you gotta think twice before you go to battle.
Yeah, the Glyph ends up searching for the Stromberg. The Stromberg can pull out the Glyph itself as well, so you can kind of like go 1-2 and it just deck thins. This can pop a back row, and then when you use the e-telly, you can go off into the extra deck, and then Princess pulls out the carriage, 4 + 3, so that's 7, and then you add another 3 inside of it, so you have either a 10 play or a 7 play still.
Right.
So I didn't run Hextrude in the main. It's on the side, but like Hextrude is definitely like an MVP of the deck, especially if you're going second. So this is for the Stromberg stuff, and then the degeneracy, the memes,
The memes.
the savagery, and the creme de la creme. And a huge shout out to Austin, because literally I was describing this card for like a month and a half. Just like, there has to be a card that exists that does this. There has to be a card that exists that does this. And he was like, there's nothing, there's nothing.
I remember
at sneak peek weekend, he's literally just casually reading cards, and he's like, is this what you were describing? And I was like, oh my god, yes. Land flipping. It is a common inside of the new Photon Hypernova. This thing is a busted card. This allows you to essentially steal field spells. So when I was versing Flu, it just made it so I could like get rid of his field spell. And if you have 2 field spells up, it just swaps them. But the main thing that's super degenerate is you end up using the land flipping with the Stromberg. So Stromberg has amazing effects. It pulls you out a monster, it protects you from battle, but the cost is you draw a card, and then in your standby phase you banish 10 face down. So what I do is I pull something out of the deck, and then I give my opponent the Stromberg with the land flipping, and then they have to pay the standby cost.
Oh, dang, that is pretty good.
It gets pretty degenerate.
Yeah, that is pretty
like,
good.
This meta has just become like a race to the bottom. Like, fine, like meet me there.
Right.
Cool, dudes. So that's for the main deck. As for the side, yeah, 1 link Karibo. I don't like this, in all honesty. Like, I didn't run into a single Ibli. It's just like, it's such a weird thing. Even if you end up linking it off, like, you're still stuck with something on your board. So like, I really don't like that.
Right.
So, but instead, the thing that I love is the Donner. I did not realize how good this was, and it's especially savage with the fact that like normaling 1 princess with no field spell at all gets you the carriage, which then can get you to the Donner, and the Donner can pop itself in something else, so it clears the board again, and then you can just go off into the kashtira stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's pretty savage. Then we got the 1 Black Rose and the 1 Barone.
Oh, so we're using the ogres for synchros.
Yeah. So the ogres are used for synchros. They're also used to hit, and then it makes it so that if I had a dude hit the princess to prevent the carriage from coming out, and I was like, all right, I'll still go into a Black Rose.
Right.
Then you tell me. But if the carriage comes out, then plus the 3 from the ogre makes you a Barone. So I've had that happen multiple games too, where it's like I make the Barone first and then I go off. Or usually what ends up happening is you special unicorn, don't activate anything, then do the Stromberg, pull out the princess, pull out the carriage, make a Barone, and then use the unicorn, grab stuff, and like do a bunch of stuff under the protection of the Barone. So pretty nice. So that's those. I'll put those right there. We got the 1 Draco Sack, the 1 Big Eye, 2 Arise, 2 Era, 2 Mind Hacker, and 2 Zeus. MVP of the deck. This is the most important card of the deck. I
think so too.
This is what allows savagery and degeneracy to go off. Yeah. Like, this card, if my opponent is running exactly 40 cards, I need the land flipping, a way to get to one of the Strombergs, or the Stromberg card itself, and then I need any 2 cards within the kashtira engine to like go off and build full. If my opponent has more than 40 cards, so anything other than 40 cards, I need less cards in order to do the degeneracy.
Right.
Because I don't need exact match. I can just go off. And I had a game where I was like, I didn't have much, but instead I was like, I'm just gonna go for as many bandages as I can. Against the Flu player too, it was just hilarious. Like, even when he messed up all the plays and I still gave him the Stromberg, and the Stromberg he like drew and then banished him, I could see it in his face. I was like, you banished both M10s. I was like, you banished both M10s. I could just it's silly. So it was super, super sad. So this is the extra deck, this is the 15. Honestly, like, this could be something else in my mind, and then you kind of, everything else is pretty standard, or like pretty solid.
Yeah.
This is pretty standard. This is standard. Some people run 2, some people like don't even run this one at all. Pretty standard for the Barone. I do like the Black Rose. I think it's dirty and it works well. And this is like, honestly, this put in so much work. Like, if it wasn't for this card and the Stromberg engine itself, the Scareclaw matchup would have been horrible. Because kashtira, everything targets, everything does some type of thing. But like, between the Ghost Ogre going off field, the Stromberg protecting me when he tried to like swing at me once, and I was like, it dies.
Yeah.
Because I kept like clearing off the back row so that when I tried to go after the Tryhard, but then he literally like on his turn just swung in, and I was like, and it dies.
Yeah.
So this deck is fun. It's very scrappy. It's very versatile. It doesn't feel as like rinse and repeat. So,
right.
This is for the extra. Sorry, for the extra deck.
Yeah,
and then for the side. For the side, it's something that I'm constantly changing up. So for the side, it's like something that's it's still a work in progress. I do like the tactics and the change of heart because it really is savage, especially if you go into the mirror match, taking something and then overlaying with it is dumb. Honestly, one of the best cards. Even when I wasn't running this stuff and this kind of meme degeneracy, this was running it too in the deck, and this is like such a good card. It's such a good board breaker. It's just very straightforward. Like I bring it out, it pops something. If it successfully pops something, I can go into battle and swing 2 times at something, and for each swing that it kills something, boost something on the field by 400.
Wow.
So that she can go from 26 to 3,000, then to 34. So if she goes off, she's really dumb. 1 feather duster, pretty standard, evenly. Triple book. The book, honestly, I could switch this up.
I'm gonna sign up and pay. Please do so.
I could switch this up. This could possibly be Dark Holes, but then we got the 1 Solemn and we got the 1 Flare Metal. So
Right.
I like this for like the time, especially if you know you're going first in game 3, and it's gonna get kind of close. So
Yeah. You don't run thrust, huh?
I don't have one.
Oh, okay,
Otherwise,
okay.
I would consider running it. And I don't know what I would side out. That's the interesting part too, though. I'd probably put the 1 tactics that's floating around on the main deck would be 1 thrust. So that's that.
yeah.
And then so yeah, just to kind of show you guys if you're interested for the quick combo.
Yes. Let's
So-
give us a quick combo.
Yeah, let's see. So like it would be like a Glyph, a land flipping. So like the Glyph or the Stromberg works, the land flipping or a pot of pea in order to dig for it. And then we'll just go for like the straightforward starters so that we can like try and dig. So we'll go with a Theosis and a planet. And then I don't care what the 5th card is. So then for this one, just to also kind of give you a sense of like how it's going off like this. Like this, I could be wrong, but hopefully this is a 40 card deck. So like this would be like my opponent's deck.
Right. This is about the deck.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it would go like, you'd first go planet.
Okay, planet.
Yep, planet. Grabs the unicorn. Unicorn specials itself out. The unicorn, actually you don't even care. Like the unicorn could grab you the birth, you don't really need it, but it just helps you extend even further.
Right.
It could have been either one of these. So even if it gets messed with, like you can still kind of power through. Activate the birth, activate the Theosis, ends up pulling out the Fenrir.
Target to put in the Fenrir.
Nope.
Effective Fenrir.
Fenrir grabs you the Rise Heart. Right. Summon the Rise Heart. Overlay these 2.
You don't overlay first and then do the thing.
It's an activated effect.
Oh, so you can
Yeah,
activate.
so
Yeah.
it shouldn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So you can overlay first. And then activate the effect. You end up sending the Big Bang, which detaches and summons, detaches the hand,
And then
summons
banish
itself.
3.
Yep. And that person banishes it. So here's the other thing. You drew 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So
Right.
you drew 5. And then these are, so we'll hold these over here.
then
And you
we're gonna-
banish 3.
We're gonna banish 3.
Right. And then you overlay into a Mind Hacker.
Which, by the way, also that thing could block a zone.
Yep, you're absolutely right. So that's what these tokens are for right here. So because I banished something successfully, that's one thing. So that's the other degenerate part about this combo, is I'm going to deck you and I'm going to lock out all your zones.
Yeah.
So that was one. And then I activate this, which ends up detaching and then summoning.
And then he looks at the extra deck.
Look at the extra deck and
Banish
then I rip
one, another
something.
one. Yeah. So
banish
that
one
puts
thing,
4.
Which then locks out another zone.
Yeah, which now it's gonna lock another zone, and then it's gonna banish 4.
Banish 4. Yep.
4.
Yep. Which ends up locking out.
And then
another zone.
and then it locks on another,
Yep.
because that's a trigger effect. It's a trigger effect.
Nope. And then, so like, because that one ended up doing it the second time, it's what got off the second one.
Yeah.
So, birth, bring back the unicorn.
Right.
And then on the unicorn, you end up overlaying the Arise Heart. Now, this is the most important part, is you need to do this at the very end. So
The
when
Arise
you
Heart
have
is the last
the
one.
Arise Heart has to happen at the very end before you trigger this, because you don't want this to absorb materials yet. But at this point, this is where you start to actually just get degenerate. Pitch the Glyph, which technically it gets attached to the Rise Heart
Yeah,
in order
'cause
to
they
search
get-
the Stromberg. Then I Stromberg effect over the planet, which then gets attached as well. You can activate the effect if you want the extra body on board in order to just kind of like have something more defensive, but you don't have to at the same time. So you can like bring out a Glyph, but I don't like to do that because sometimes the Iris successfully keeps summoning more kashtiras to board, so I just kind of leave it as it is. And then you land flipping. And so it just banishes this and then puts it in your opponent's zone. So this is my opponent's hand, 5 cards. Right?
5 cards, right?
I've banished 3 from the deck with the Rise Heart, 1 from the extra deck with the Diablosis, and then another 4 gets banished off the main deck. Then I land flipping, it gives you the Stromberg, I pass, it ends up going here. Now, I pass turn to my opponent. You draw a card.
Draw a card. We draw a
So
card.
draw a card right there. Standby phase.
Yeah.
You pay
The
cost.
effect of that.
Yeah. And then I also end up triggering. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Your turn player priority. That ends up happening. And this also pulls out a summon. So you get the Fenrir. Then it goes chain 1, chain 2, chain 3. So this ends up locking out a zone.
You got another
Chain
zone.
3. Chain 2, you attach, and this is the important part. This needs to be chain 2 before anything else. So it attaches a material so that when this triggers, you banish cards equal to the number of cards face down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So then you banish cards face down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17.
Yeah.
So I just banished your entire deck. Then it goes, because that ended up happening, then it goes chain 1, chain 2. So this locks out another zone.
She'll be
And
the
then
fifth
this ends
zone.
up attaching another material. So I have a 6 material Arise Heart. All 5 of your zones are locked.
And
You
no
have
deck.
6 cards in hand with no deck left to play.
And no deck to play.
Yep.
Bah.
So that's the deck profile. It's pretty degenerate. If your opponent is above 40 cards, you don't need these. Like this can just go off because this would banish another 18. So if they're 41 or above, you just try and go hard as you can with just the Mind Hacker.
Wow.
alone. So you
Dang.
need less cards in order to do it.
There
So,
you go, guys.
That's the deck profile. It's
a
fun.
Deck profile.
It's meme-tastic. It's degenerate because this meta is just a mess. This is.
It is. We were getting rid of tears, but now we got cash to deal
Yeah,
with.
exactly. That can now banish the full deck. So. That's
Wow.
the deck profile. It was fun. It did very well, and hopefully it'll do better the better I get with it. So.
Right. Right. Practice makes perfect, right? Thanks a lot for the deck profile.
Yep.
And we'll catch you guys in the next one.
Thank you.
Later.
Have a good one.